What if I told you that in 10 years, you could stop working without lottery luck, inheritance, or miracles? I'm Alex, and I'll map the real plan that turns your paycheck into a system that can replace you.
Most people already hold the engine for freedom, but they quit early, right before compounding finally switches on. If you feel quietly broke, doing everything right yet falling behind, stay here, because I've lived that pressure too personally. Before we dive in, hit like so this reaches people who stress in silence and think they're alone.
Share it with one friend who avoids money talks, and subscribe if you want clear, calm steps weekly. Now comment your age and one word: starting, stuck, or catching up, so I can tailor examples to you today.
My promise: no hype, no vague motivation, just a measurable 10-year roadmap you can track month by month easily. First, we define retire. Not never working again, but choosing work because money no longer controls decisions daily. Real retirement is when your portfolio pays bills while you sleep, even during layoffs, sickness, or burnout seasons. Many Americans underestimate retirement costs, especially housing and healthcare, then freeze when the real numbers hit hard later. So we'll set a simple target, then build a plan that compresses time without gambling your future stability. If you spend $50,000 a year, a rough starting target is 25 times that, about $1.25 million. If that scares you, good. Fear can focus you, because the next step is finding your fastest lever right now. Most people stay trapped because the early years feel unfair. Every dollar still depends on discipline and sacrifice. Tuizu. In year one, progress looks invisible, so your brain calls investing pointless, even while momentum quietly builds underneath. It's the uphill snowball phase. You push, you slip, and you wonder why everyone else seems ahead already. But cross one fragile bridge, and compounding stops relying only on you. It begins creating its own speed. To make that bridge visible, I use one simple tool: the rule of 72, your retirement clock today. Divide 72 by your expected average return, and you'll estimate how many years it takes to double consistently. If your portfolio averages 10%, 72 divided by 10 means your money doubles in about 7 years. That sounds slow until you realize each doubling gets heavier, because the base is larger every single cycle. Start with 50,000, and one cycle becomes 100,000, then 200, then 400, without extra effort. Your work stays the same, but the system accelerates, and that's the moment investing stops feeling depressing. Here's the trap. People judge the system by year one results, when compounding barely whispers at the beginning. They treat tiny gains like proof it's broken, when it's actually laying the foundation for future jumps. I want you to picture a dim light slowly brightening, not a switch instantly flipping from dark to daylight. And yes, markets swing. The rule of 72 isn't a promise. It's a clock for estimating time. If returns are lower for a few years, the clock ticks slower, which is why you control contributions. Time and rate matter, but contribution is the lever you can pull today, even if markets feel noisy. Dazidi, missing one doubling cycle can add years to your timeline, and that's the silent cost of procrastination. Freedom isn't stolen by one big mistake. It's stolen by waiting, drifting, and restarting over and over. So let's make this personal. What would it change if you could buy back 10 mornings every week? More time with your kids, less panic on Sundays, fewer nights lying awake calculating bills in your head. That's why I'm serious about this plan, because money stress is emotional before it's mathematical. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. Saving 10% is progress, but rarely fast enough for 10 years. 10% is how you survive. High savings rates, rising income, and structure are how you escape quickly. So my strategy has two parts: offense to grow what comes in, and defense to stop leaks. Offense means increasing your investable fuel, not grinding forever, but building skills that raise your value. Defense means your lifestyle stays steady when income rises, so every new dollar becomes a permanent worker. Offense starts with one question: which single move could raise your monthly investable amount by $500? That could be a promotion,
a job switch, a certification, or a small side service you repeat weekly. For ages 25 to 35, this lever matters most because you still have enough cycles ahead. If you're 35 to 45, you can still win, but consistency and higher fuel become even more critical. I'm not telling you to hustle 16 hours. I'm telling you to aim effort at the highest payoff skill. Think sales, analytics, project leadership, trade licenses, skills that reliably translate into higher income within 12 months. Here's why this matters. Contributions are the steering wheel. Returns are the weather you can't control daily. When weather is bad, steering matters more, because you stay on course instead of crashing into panic decisions. Now let's anchor this in a simple example, using numbers that feel like real American paychecks. Suppose you earn $4,000 a month and invest $400, the classic 10% advice everyone repeats. Over 10 years, that's $48,000 contributed. With compounding, it grows, but usually not freedom level. That path builds stability, but it rarely buys you time back fast enough to retire in 10 years. Now imagine income rises to $6,000, but you keep living like $4,000. The gap becomes fuel. Suddenly, you're investing $2,000 monthly, and the engine starts sounding different within a single year. That's offense plus defense working together. More money in, less money leaking, and more cycles captured. Defense sounds boring, but it's the difference between getting raises and staying stressed anyway, forever. Lifestyle creep is sneaky. It arrives as, I deserve this, then becomes, I can't live without it. The price isn't the purchase. The price is the years of your life that purchase quietly steals from you. So here's my rule. When income goes up, your spending stays flat for at least 12 months. Every raise, bonus, or new stream gets invested automatically before your brain invents new needs to justify spending. Treat each new dollar like a worker you hire. Assign it to investing, and it never sleeps or quits. If you let lifestyle creep absorb it, that worker is fired instantly, and your timeline stretches without mercy. I want you to run a 12-month experiment. Freeze lifestyle, and route every increase straight into investments automatically. This experiment is powerful because it removes willpower. It turns discipline into a system that runs while you're busy. Now, once your fuel increases, you need structure, because random investing feels like gambling and creates anxiety fast. I use a 3-layer model that keeps you growing, paying you, and protecting you when markets get ugly. Layer 1 is growth, the engine. Broad index funds and diversified equities that outpace inflation over time. Inflation matters because it silently shrinks your future lifestyle. Your money must run faster to stay ahead. Layer 2 is income. Assets that produce cash flow like dividends, REIT distributions, or rental income if sensible. Income matters because it lets you live without selling your core holdings during downturns when prices are depressed. Quite blind. Layer 3 is stability. Cash reserves and high-quality bonds that act like shock absorbers during volatility spikes. Stability isn't exciting, but it prevents the classic mistake, selling your best assets at the worst possible moment. If you've ever panic sold, you know it feels rational in the moment, then brutal when markets recover later. This is why retirement is psychological. The plan fails when your emotions override your rules during fear. So my system assumes you're human. It builds guardrails so you don't have to be perfect every year. Now, let's connect the 3 layers to your 10-year goal, because this is where people get confused. 10 years is not about a magic return. It's about capturing enough doubling cycles with enough fuel early. That means your savings rate must be high, your income trend must rise, and your lifestyle must stay controlled. I know that sounds intense, but the alternative is working 30 more years while telling yourself it's normal. So here's the first checkpoint. Calculate your monthly investable amount today, without guessing, without optimism, just truth. Open your banking app and write one number. How much can you invest monthly after bills, food, and basics? If you don't know that number, you don't have a plan yet. You have hope, and hope collapses under stress. Here's my 60-second test. Income minus essentials
minus minimum debt payments equals your monthly investable fuel today. If that fuel is small, don't panic. Small fuel just means your first mission is offense, not perfection. Start by automating it. Schedule transfers the day after payday, so investing happens before spending decisions happen. Automation beats motivation because motivation fades on tired Tuesdays, while systems keep moving without your permission. Next, build a small shock buffer because emergencies are not rare events. They're guaranteed interruptions in real life. Without a buffer, every surprise expense forces you to sell investments or add debt, and your clock resets. If you carry high-interest debt, treat it like a negative investment return because it compounds against you daily. I'm not saying delay investing forever. I'm saying remove the fastest leak first, then accelerate consistently. To grow. Now let's talk mindset. Because 10-year plans die when people compare their Chapter 1 to someone's Chapter 10. Social media shows vacations, new cars, and upgrades, but it never shows the anxiety, debt, or hidden trade-offs. Your job is to protect focus, because focus is what keeps you investing through boring months and scary headlines. Remember the snowball. Early growth is quiet. Then suddenly it becomes heavy enough to roll without constant pushing. That moment feels like magic, but it's not magic. It's simply time plus fuel plus consistency finally stacking. So instead of asking, "Am I rich yet?" ask, "Did I complete this month's deposit and stay on plan?" Freedom is built by boring repetitions that most people refuse to do long enough to reach the tipping point. Now I'll show you how to set targets by cycles, not years, so progress becomes visible and addictive. First, estimate your doubling time using the rule of 72. Then count how many cycles fit inside 10 years. If you can't fit enough cycles, you don't quit. You increase fuel, tighten defense, and keep the machine running. Let's do a quick example. If returns average 6%, 72 divided by 6 is roughly 12 years. That means 10 years may not double, so your plan must rely on contributions, not fantasies alone ever. Now if returns average 10%, your doubling time is about 7 years, giving you one full cycle. To retire in 10, you need either a bigger starting base, higher fuel, or multiple income layers working. This is where most people get honest. The dream is simple, but the math demands bravery and change. If you're earning $4,000 monthly, retiring in 10 usually requires investing 30 to 50%, not 10. I know that sounds extreme, but extreme is working until 65 while pretending your stress is normal today. So we build leverage, raise income, keep expenses flat, and automate investing so it happens without negotiation monthly. If you get a $2,000 tax refund, don't upgrade life. Buy future mornings by investing it immediately instead. If you receive a bonus, split it. Half to stability, half to growth, and you'll sleep better tonight. For my own plan, I track only 3 numbers: investable amount, savings rate, and net worth trend weekly. Tracking too much creates guilt. Tracking too little creates drift, so these 3 keep you focused and calm. Next, we choose vehicles that match your temperament, because the best portfolio is the one you'll hold forever. If you can't stomach volatility, you need more stability, not a new strategy every time the market coughs. But if you avoid risk completely, inflation quietly eats your future, and 10 years turns into 25 fast. So we balance growth for speed, income for cash flow, stability for protection, and discipline for the long game. Here's the part nobody tells you. The first 100,000 feels harder than the next 200. Because at 100,000, market swings start adding or subtracting more than your monthly deposit, and it's shocking. That shock can make you reckless or timid, so you need rules written in calm moments, not panic. In the next section, I'll give you my exact 10-year checklist and a simple scorecard to stay consistent. My 10-year checklist starts with 1. Automate contributions the day after payday, so progress never depends on mood. 2. Build a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, so life events don't force you into debt again. 3. Invest in diversified growth assets first, because broad markets do the heavy lifting when you stay consistent. 4. Add income assets gradually, so cash flow can support you without selling core holdings during downturns later. 5. Keep a stability layer because protection isn't sexy, but it prevents the catastrophic mistake of selling low. 6. Increase offense yearly by upgrading one skill, negotiating pay, or switching roles when the market rewards you. 7. Lock defense yearly by freezing lifestyle upgrades and letting new income become permanent investment fuel automatically. 8. Review monthly, not daily, because daily checking feeds anxiety and makes long-term plans feel like emergencies. 9. Write a downturn plan now, so when markets drop, you execute rules, not fear-driven impulses. 10. Protect your health, because burnout destroys offense, and medical surprises can destroy defense in 1 week. Here's the scorecard I use. Did I invest on schedule, avoid new debt, and raise income even slightly? If you win those 3, you're winning the year, even if markets are noisy or headlines feel terrifying. People ask me, Alex, what if returns are lower? And I say, then we increase fuel and patience. Lower returns don't end the plan. Quitting ends the plan, because time only rewards the person who stays invested. So let's talk about the hardest enemy. Comparison, because it makes disciplined people feel stupid for being patient. Corain, your coworker's new car looks like success, but you don't see the loan term, interest rate, or stress. Your neighbor's renovation looks like progress, but you don't see their retirement account untouched and their anxiety at night. Meanwhile, your success looks boring. Consistent deposits, rising net worth, fewer panic thoughts, and more control daily. That boring look is the point. Freedom is quiet, and it grows without needing anyone's approval. Now, I want to personalize this. If you're in your 20s, your biggest weapon is time and learning. If you're in your 20s, aim for high savings rates early, because one extra doubling cycle can change everything. If you're in your 30s, focus on offense. Raise income aggressively while locking lifestyle, because responsibilities rise quickly. If you're in your 40s, prioritize stability and cash flow, because your timeline is tighter and volatility feels louder. No matter your age, your job is the same. Keep the machine running through boring months and scary headlines. Here's a mindset shift I love. You're not saving money. You're buying years of your life back. Every 1,000 invested is a tiny employee. It doesn't complain, it doesn't rest, and it multiplies quietly over time. When you spend impulsively, you're firing future employees, then wondering why the company never grows into freedom. So I want you to name your goal. What would you do with Tuesdays if you didn't need money? Travel, start a business, be with family, or simply breathe. Your why is the fuel that outlasts discipline. Now, one warning. 10-year plans fail when people chase shortcuts like meme stocks, options, or leverage. Yindad, shortcuts promise speed, but they also increase the chance you reset to zero, and zero steals years brutally. If you want speed safely, increase income, invest consistently, diversify, and let compounding do its quiet violence. And yes, markets will crash at some point. That's not a prediction. It's history repeating with new headlines. Your stability layer is what keeps you investing when crashes happen, because you're not forced to sell. During downturns, your deposits buy more shares. That's why disciplined investors secretly benefit from temporary pain. Most people do the opposite. They stop investing when prices are low, then restart when prices feel safe again. That pattern is why retirement gets delayed. It's not bad luck. It's bad timing, driven by emotion. So write this sentence down. When the market is down, my job is to keep buying, not guessing. Now we're ready to close the loop. You came here asking if 10 years is real, and here's my answer. 10 years is possible for some, not for everyone, but the system works for anyone who stays consistent. Wigisnoth. If your investable amount is high and your lifestyle is controlled, 10 years can be a realistic, focused sprint. If your investable amount is smaller, the same system still works. It just shifts from 10 years to 15. Either way, The real victory is escaping the helpless feeling that money controls your choices and your peace. I'd rather give you an honest plan that works slowly than a fantasy plan that fails quickly and hurts. So here's your next step tonight. Calculate your monthly investable amount, then automate it before tomorrow morning.
Great.
Then pick one offense move for the next 90 days. Something measurable that increases income or creates cash flow. And pick one defense rule, like no lifestyle upgrades for 12 months, so new income becomes permanent investment fuel. If you do those three, you'll feel a shift within weeks. Less anxiety, more control, and clearer direction. Because progress isn't only numbers, it's waking up without dread, knowing your system is working quietly for you. Remember, the hardest part isn't math. It's staying consistent long enough to reach the tipping point and momentum. If this helped, hit like, subscribe for more real plans, and share it with someone who needs hope. Now comment one thing, your monthly investable amount, or your target retirement year, and I'll reply with guidance. I read every comment, because your real numbers tell me what videos to make, and what myths to destroy. And if you want, I'll build a follow-up episode turning your comments into personalized 10-year roadmaps, stepwise. The goal isn't to look rich. The goal is to become free, calm, and unshakable about money. Start now, protect your fuel, keep the machine running, and let time do what it always does, multiply. 10 years from today, you'll thank yourself for staying consistent when it was boring, uncertain, and unpopular. Because the day compounding flips, it feels unstoppable, and you realize you were never behind. You were building. I'm Alex, and this is your Real Plan Explained. I'll see you in the next video soon. Until then, keep investing, keep learning, and keep your lifestyle steady, because freedom loves consistency over drama. Kya isto?